The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. On the third day there was a wedding in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine gave out, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, what concern is that to you and to me? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Now standing there were 6 stone water jars for the Jewish rites of purification, each holding about 100 liters. Jesus said to the servants, "Fill the jars with water." And they filled them up to the brim. And he said to them, "Now draw some out, and take it to the chief steward." So they took it. And when the steward tasted the water that had become wine, and did not know where it came from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew, the steward called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves the good wine first, and then the inferior wine after the guests have become drunk. But you have kept the good wine until now." Jesus did this, the first of his signs in Cana of Galilee, and revealed his glory. And his disciples believed in him. After this, he went down to Capernaum with his mother, his brothers, and his disciples, and they remained there a few days. The Gospel of the Lord. Thank you. Glad to see so many people here. It keeps the place warm. Have you ever said this to someone that you're trying to help and it's not going too well? Now, come on, you got to give me something to work with here. You know, you want to help them, but you need some cooperation. Do you ever wonder why Jesus told the servants to fill the stone jars with water first? Couldn't he have just waved his hand and bingo, wine in stone jars? After all, he's God, right? He has the power to create something out of thin air. So why did he choose instead to have them fill the jars with water before performing the miracle? And on another occasion, why did he need the 5 loaves and 2 fish from the boy to feed the 5,000? You see, by asking the servants to fill the jars with water and the boy to bring 5 loaves and 2 fish, Jesus involves them in the miracle. This proves that while God can do everything on his own, he often chooses to work through us with whatever we give him. Do you see the cooperation here? When the church says grace builds on nature, it means that God's grace works with our natural abilities. He works with whatever we have, no matter how small, to bring about his plans. So like St. Paul said in our second reading, there are different forms of service, but the same Lord. There are different workings, but the same God who produces all of them in everyone. And the key line in that reading is, God produces all of them in everyone, and you are part of the everyone. God can bring out the best in us, just like a skilled musician can bring out the best in a broken violin, right? Now, if we want God to act in our lives, change our water into wine, we need to come to him just as we are, giving him both our strength and our weaknesses. You know, last week I was in my car and I listened to this song on the radio. It's a secular song. It's called Castles. And the theme line in there really stuck out with me, and I had to write it down. It was, "I'm going to build castles from the rubble of your love." And I thought, you know, God was saying to me, I'm going to build castles from the rubble of your life. And that's a line to think about. You know, I've seen a lot of life-changing miracles in people over the years, and I can tell you that those miracles did not take place until the person first gave to Jesus the raw materials of their life. They honestly told God what they were struggling with, and you see, that's the raw material the rubble that he needs. And it usually happens at a low point or some crisis in our life. And during those times, like Mary, we cry out to him, Jesus, we have no wine. We have to reveal to him, give to him our helplessness. And I'm telling you, that's what gets God listening. God always begins a miracle by saying to us, you got to give me something to work with. I need you to give me your trust first before we can get started. So here's an example. Many of us have found ourselves in a position where our spouse or our children have left the faith. We feel like there's nothing we can do. We feel powerless to do anything. We're looking for a miracle, and God's telling us, give me first all that anxiety you're holding on to because it's non-productive. Instead now, fill your jars with prayers for them and accept them for who they are, and let me do the rest. Now, a funny story, I used to tell my Protestant friends that the bride and groom at the Cana were Catholic, and they would laugh, eh? I'd say, yeah, you know, they must have been because it says in the Bible that they went to Mary first, right? Which is good. Like Catholics, we always treasure and adore Mary as our mother, right? And if we're at our wits' end, we go to Mary first, like the bride and groom did, and she'll say the same thing to us. Do whatever he tells you, which also means in our day, do whatever the church tells you. And we think, well, I don't think Jesus is just going to show up, walk up into my living room and tell me what to do. Probably not. But he does tell us what to do through the scriptures and what the church teaches. Jesus may not show up in our living room, but a Bible can, or a copy of the catechism can show up there, and that's how he tells us what to do. Today, Jesus still performs miracles with the little that we give him. For starters, our prayers, our study of the Word, our trust, all of this is enough for him to get started. It's a cooperation with him. And I know from my own experience that God will work out something even beyond what we were expecting. And we see that in our gospel today. Not only did God make wine, but he made the best wine. And from our reading here, it says, quote, the head waiter called the bridegroom and said to him, you have kept the good wine until now. That's what he can do for us. God wastes nothing. He uses it all for our good. So today our gospel challenges us to let God build castles from the rubbles of our lives. Let's give God something to work with. Amen.